Meteorologist Danielle Noyce here with your pattern predictions video. A look at the next 2 weeks of weather, and we're at that time of the year when we're getting some milder days. You're excited for spring and planting and gardening. So I want to start with the average last frost dates for New England. It's mid-April for the Cape and Islands, but generally late April to early May across the remainder of southern New England, and later than that, mid to late May across central and northern New England. So not quite yet, still plenty of cold air to be had, and you see that. And the height to 500 millibars, essentially a layer of the atmosphere, and the average temperature over that layer. The blues, the purples indicating cold air. This trough still carved out across the northeast, cold consolidating up near the poles. But do you notice there's still some blues and purples nearby? And one clear thing that you notice is there's still cold coming into the Pacific Northwest during this 2-week period that will translate to the northern plains and at times come into the northeast. Out ahead of it, you get warmth though. So big ups and downs in temperature fluctuations are still anticipated. We get one shot of mild air to end the week around the 8th and 9th, another blast of some warmer air coming in for the 13th and 14th for Marathon Monday, and then another blast of cool coming in after that before the warmth does come back into a lot of the eastern 2/3 of the country with colder air and a colder than average pattern across much of the West Coast, particularly in the Pacific Northwest. So for us in New England, keep in mind this is the New England-wide average, but the coldest couple of days are actually this week before we get a warm up to end the week around the 9th and 10th. When temperatures are going to climb into the 50s and 60s, and they should stay above average for this upcoming weekend for the 11th and 12th, although there are some signs some cooler air may come in on Sunday briefly with the transition of the warmth coming back. 70s, not out of the question that we have some 80s depending on how much warmth comes in on Tuesday. Keep in mind one backdoor front, one shift in the wind, and that can cool things substantially at the coastline. And it does look like after that we get back into relatively cooler air compared to that couple days of warmth that come in, but still above average, running in the 50s and 60s much of the 16th right on through the middle part of the month. Overnight lows, the coldest, look at this, Wednesday morning, Thursday, widespread 20s. And actually some teens in northern New England. Then there'll still be some frosty mornings for Friday morning and likely again on Sunday morning, mainly in far northern New England. But we go up and down in terms of temperatures a little bit for overnight lows. There will be a couple mild days with that warmth coming in for Monday and Tuesday morning, and then back to near average for a New England-wide average, running in the 40s for overnight lows after that. Let's look at the jet stream because that steers storms, acts like a thermostat too. One thing I do want to point out is out ahead of the jet stream, we get the warmth that comes in for us in New England for the 13th, 14th. But this is a pretty good jet stream pattern representing potential severe weather in the central United States for the 13th and 14th that would extend into the Midwest as well. One thing you do notice is that the jet stream is farther to our north with that warmth coming in. So the storm track looks to be across the central United States into the Great Lakes and then north of us. So in terms of percent chance of precipitation coming in, we get some showers on Tuesday, then a big old area of high pressure. It's going to drop that risk with a fairly quiet stretch, bumping things up a little bit on Saturday with a cold front coming in. Notice it's 30%. There's not a ton of moisture with it, but likely a few showers as it comes on in. Quieter again on Sunday. And then with that transition back to the warmth for the 13th and 14th, there may be some showers in that process, in that transition of relatively cooler and then mild air coming back. Does jump back lower as we head into the 16th, 17th, 18th, as we have some of that relatively seasonable air coming into play. So when you look at this precipitation forecast, it makes sense, right? With that storm track in the central United States, we're talking about significant amounts of precipitation from Texas stretching back into the Midwest. Here in New England, I think it ends up a below average 2-week period in terms of precipitation. The only exception may be across far northern New England, which also makes sense because you're closer to the storm track. We may end up near or perhaps just slightly above average in terms of precipitation through the middle of April. Track it all, of course, in our app, but this is the reasoning behind why you may see some changes or shifts in that 14-day forecast. You've got the hourly on there too, of course, our videos right at the top, and access to our membership opportunities, 4 levels to give back to our independent mission. We are so appreciative of the support. See what each membership level includes and the details on how to sign up at membership.onedegreeoutside.com. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this 1 Degree Outside video.
Get exclusive content, support the mission at membership.onedegreeoutside.com. And don't forget, free and 5 stars on the App Store and Google Play. Search the #1 Degree Outside Weather.